So, Christine, who are we canceling today?
The Conclave, Kate.
Oh, you mean that thing in the Vatican where they choose the new pope and there's like white smoke and all of that?
And a bunch of guys who look like me.
Is this the long-awaited Catholic trauma episode that we've been teasing? Oh my God.
With costumes.
Yes, we are both cosplaying. I am dressed as the Pope today. You are dressed as a cardinal, and we are going to appoint a new woke Pope today.
You know where my vote's going.
If you want to see the costumes and the episode in video, you can actually check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@cancelmedaddy. We're going to release a video version of this podcast for the first time. So very excited for that.
Cardinal me daddy.
Hey everyone, I'm Caitlin Burns.
And I'm Christine Grimaldi.
And you're listening to Cancel Me Daddy,
the show where we take a closer look at all the panic around cancel culture.
With thoughtful analysis.
And verbal shitposting.
Oh, Christine, this is going to be so much fun.
I know, we've been waiting a long time to do the Catholic episode. And then the Pope just died.
He just died. And it's like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we cosplayed and we're both going to hell. So, you know.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's funny, as a recovering Catholic, I still can't shake that, like, superstition of I'm going to hell, right? And I'm pretty sure that today solidifies it.
Well, you mentioned that when we were planning this episode. You're like, oh, okay. So, yeah, this is, like, kind of serious. One day a week I get together with local friends and we do a work session, and I was showing her this costume. She's like, that's so blasphemous. And I had a sudden like pang of like, oh no. But I was already going to hell because I'm one of them transgenders. So,
and I'm one of those abortion journalists.
We didn't have much of a chance to begin with, let's be honest.
No, I told one of the dads at daycare that at least like everybody fun will be there.
It's true.
Yeah.
The better parties are going to be down there. And it's going to be warmer. So,
yeah. I know. I still maintain, though, I think Jesus would have been, supportive of abortion rights and bodily autonomy.
Do you think he would have stormed the temple in the name of the transgenders?
Yes, I think that it's funny. I'd say, like, I think he loved everybody for who they were. But I have also been referring to Jesus as like a nice, confused Jewish boy a lot. So it's kind of like the whole Messiah thing. I don't know if it like applies here or not. That's really going to send me to hell. But I don't know. I've thought a lot about like, especially as I grew up and grew away from the church, about like, the whole kind of like, consistent life ethic stuff, right? That they teach you as a kid. I'm sure that you heard that in church as well. And to me, it's not antithetical to be supportive of abortion, to be supportive of trans people, to be supportive, or rather oppose the death penalty, because it's all about bodily autonomy, right? And like death penalty is taking away somebody's bodily autonomy, not having control over your body, whether you're trans or, seeking an abortion. Like that's all consistent to me. So I may not believe, and I may think that this is all, like, look at us right now. But I can make sense out of that now in a way that I think the way the church teaches it is nonsensical.
Yeah. Before we get too far in.
I know that was deep for earlier. God.
I wanted to officially gavel in the cancellation conclave.
How do we do that?
I don't know. I can, here, I have this eyeliner stick. I'm going to pound it on the table next to the mic. Ready?
That's excellent. So you're using eyeliner and I put lipstick on. So we're really doing this.
The lipstick and eyeliner conclave. I love that. So, first order of business.
Yes.
Was Pope Francis the woke pope?
Oh, I have so many thoughts. The wokest one we're gonna get?
Potentially. We don't know.
I don't know.
Actually, I didn't particularly think he was that woke. I mean, he was better to the LGBs than his predecessors, but he made a lot of comments over the years about trans people specifically in a time when we were the target of very nasty, state oppression. And it kind of felt to me like he figured out that Western society is going to be accepting of gay and lesbian and bisexual people. And so it was time for him personally to make them feel less threatened by the church. But also, I kind of felt like he didn't feel the same way about trans people. And I know that, when he died, like one of the last groups of people to see him, and I think part of his escort from where his body was being displayed to the cathedral when they were getting ready for his funeral was a group of trans women. But that also felt icky to me that he did that, considering, he compared gender affirming care to a nuclear missile threat level to the family structure in his lifetime. And he made numerous negative comments about trans people and gender ideology, quote unquote, which, by the way, if people don't know, gender ideology is a term that was created by the Vatican. In the English speaking world, it means like trans rights and supporting trans people, but it actually means different things in different parts of the world. In Latin America, it's like abortion access and feminism, and very similarly in Eastern Europe means the same thing. So it depends on where you are, like what gender ideology means, quote unquote. So I think we as English speaking Westerners need to be careful not to universalize our own terms.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting point you made about kind of him being strategic and seeing like what the Western world was and was not willing to accept. What do you think came first for him? Was it him seeing that and then making this choice, or was he kind of making this choice and then the Western world followed?
I think the Western world definitely led on it. I think that the Catholic Church for a very long time was seen as very backwards, especially with the priest, molestation scandal. And if you look at statistics, like church-going statistics are down throughout the Western world, not just in the United States. And a big reason for that is because, young people have gay friends and they don't feel like associating with a place where they show up and their friends get demonized every week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt very weird to hear you stop at like LGB. It's really weird.
Unfortunately, there's still a difference with much of society there.
Yeah. And I feel similarly about him because what did he say about abortion and, of course, women who have abortions? Because that's a very narrow viewpoint that he had, clearly. He called it an agonizing and painful decision, which is not the case for everyone, and everyone's decision to make with their bodily autonomy. And then this was the line that really stuck with me over the years, that the priest could absolve the sin of abortion for those who seek forgiveness with a contrite heart. And the contrite heart thing just really enraged me after when did I start covering abortion? In 2016?
Yeah.
Like there's so much stigma in that statement, and so much like, I don't know, growing up Catholic, I already felt like real bad about myself all the time. And I can't imagine having that heaped onto me too. Like, hey, you did this extra bad thing. And I will forgive you, a priest via God, right, or God via the priest, if you come to me with a contrite heart. And it broke my heart for people who have abortions.
Well, yeah. And keep in mind, like, this is an organization that shields priests from facing consequences for like way more heinous acts than abortion. I mean, I guess it depends on what you really believe about abortion, but
it irked me too, because it's just, I've had to undo so much internalized abortion stigma for myself. Mm-hmm. It's funny, I've undone it for everyone else in my reporting, but the Catholics, like, we're always hardest on ourselves at the end of the day. And, for a really long time, and something I think I still struggle with too, is that like everybody's bodily autonomy is something to celebrate except for mine, and the thought of having to be even more contrite about that than I already am. Just it makes me sad, and then just really, really enrages me. So that takes away from that like Francis sparkle for me.
The Francis sparkle.
Yes.
Do you think JD Vance stole the Francis sparkle and that's why he died?
Yes.
Yeah.
If Ted Cruz is a Zodiac killer, JD Vance is the Pope killer.
Oh my God. I loved that meme. That was so good.
Yeah, I just saw that the other day, like on somebody's car in DC.
But at the same time as all of that, having said all that, he was kind of a light for the world in an increasingly dark time in a way that I wasn't expecting. Like, he was a very consistent advocate for Palestinians. Towards the end of his life, it was said that he was calling the the parish or the church in Palestine, like the Catholic bishop, wherever that is. I don't have the details. Like every day to check on them.
We'll link in the show notes, but yeah.
Yeah.
He was a very consistent advocate for ceasefire, permanent ceasefire.
And for immigrants and people seeking asylum, he was, a counterweight to a lot of the hate message that we're seeing throughout like the Western European world, or basically all of the European world. But
don't forget that climate change too.
In the climate change, yeah. It's really interesting, like the way that like the Vatican is very unique amongst religions in that like they're a country, kind of, but they have a full diplomatic corps, right? So they're a non-voting member at the UN, but they like the Pope can come speak to the UN as a head of state. And you don't get that with other religions because they don't have the equivalent of the Vatican. So I feel like the Pope is kind of unique in that regard.
Yeah, centralized power can help in some ways, and it can cause a lot of harm when there are structures to hide just like widespread child abuse all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about the meme about Trump becoming Pope?
Did he really say that he could be Pope?
No, Lindsey Graham said it.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. But he's not even Catholic. Like,
no, he's not. Lindsey Graham has given up his soul a very long time ago, if he had one to begin with.
He's got his back blown out.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I said it.
Okay. You say it. I'm not saying it. You say it.
I said it.
Okay.
Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy so much.
Don't actually fuck that guy, though.
No one. I don't think, no. We got to pivot off Lindsey Graham. However, I think that Trump could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and get away with it. So, yeah, I think Donald Trump could be Pope.
What about St. Peter's Square?
What about it?
Could he shoot somebody in St. Peter's Square and get away with it?
I was going to say that he would develop it into condos, but...
Oh, my God.
That's really dark, so...
Oh, my God.
I don't know. Like, my opinion, I guess, on Francis comes down to, like, I didn't hate him, which is more than I can say about the last Pope. But, like, I you know what? I don't know that I didn't like him.
Uh-huh.
It was kind of... There'd be these moments that I go, oh, but then a lot of moments that I go, oh. And you were right. Like, despite all of the anti-abortion, anti-trans, like, fodder that he was fueling, there was like this like beacon about him. I don't know, maybe this is like, Catholic gaslighting, but there was something so much softer about him than any of the other popes that I grew up with.
Yeah.
So I felt like I could almost use him sometimes like as a way in to talk to like, some like maybe boomer aged relatives about certain things. Yeah. Did you feel similarly?
Well, I'm at this point, I'm so disconnected with the Catholic Church. Like my family's not religious anymore. So yeah, he didn't really come up with that. I appreciated the memes though.
Yeah, the memes were great. I mean, like, so JD Vance did kill him.
What was the Italian gay slur that he said, like, kind of late in his life that he got in trouble for? I have it here, but I can't pronounce it.
I'm not going to.
Frocchiagini?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
I mean, my Italian would end up being like New York Italian, so it would come out something. Yeah, like it wouldn't like it would come out like mozzarella instead of mozzarella. So like I don't know how to pronounce that.
Well, I want to thank Francis for bringing that word to my attention because it's fabulous to me.
It is it's kind of a great word. I don't think he meant it in a bad way. That one.
Okay, so according to NPR, this word is a highly offensive slang term in Italian referring to gay men and gay male culture. And he was talking about...
was he trying to say he loved them?
No, he was talking about... There was a discussion at the Vatican about whether to admit gay men to Catholic seminaries in preparation for the priesthood. He disclosed that he was opposed to the idea, saying there was already too much, whatever this word is, which I'm guessing translates to like faggotry.
Yeah. Okay. Let's keep deducting from that good feeling about Francis I had for a second. It'll go down. Wow. First of all, the thing that came to my head when you said more gay men to seminary was like, bitch, don't you know?
Yeah, I know.
That. And then also, just like how many priests and popes were like married or had like, I don't know, many Italian peasant women like at their beck and call.
Yeah. Through history.
Yeah. Everybody's fucking, which could also be the name of this episode at the conclave. Everybody's fucking.
Panic at the conclave.
Maybe we're a meme now. It's fine.
Cancel me, daddy, for I have sinned.
Yes, I can't wait for that to be.
Oh, we haven't mentioned that.
No, we haven't. Maybe we'll keep that to ourselves.
Yeah, well, we can say we have officially launched the Cancel Me Daddy merch shop, which I don't think we've mentioned officially on an episode yet. You can find it at cancelmedaddy-shop.fourthwall.com. We have a lot of great options there. I know that anytime I'm wearing something that says Cancel Me Daddy on the front, I get lots of comments in public. So I know that's not for everybody, but I'm loving our partners over at Fourth Wall. And the merch is really cool. Well made also.
Yeah, and Kate really, spearheaded this, so thank you.
We have stickers, mugs, hats, shirts, all kinds of good stuff.
So what other memes have you seen?
Oh, God.
That you've enjoyed?
That was the big one. I like the JD Vance murdered him meme. That was kind of funny. Mm-hmm. Just because... Did you see the Mary Fuck Kill with JD Vance? And it was a couch... his wife and the Pope.
I did see that.
That was a good one.
God, the show notes are being so good.
On that note, we are just going to take a short break. So, Christine, I'm kind of curious. We've kind of hinted at this over the time that we've been co-hosts, but we're both Catholic. You're famously New Jersey Italian. And I am famously New England Irish Catholic.
That's two very those brands have big personalities.
We are traumatized, let's just say. I haven't gone to church in 20 years and I still feel guilty about everything.
I went to a dear friend's funeral last year. She was kind of Catholic light, I'd say, and, supported abortion rights and was fairly progressive. And so I think that she would have supported the fact that in between the mass and leaving, I saw a bunch of anti-abortion pamphlets in the church vestibule, and I shoved them all into my husband's pockets.
Oh my God.
Not all of them, one of each, so that I as research to see what they're saying now. He's like, what
That's
the
incredible.
Fuck are you? He's like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, no, she would understand this. That was the last time I was at Mass. So
that was the last time you went to Mass? Yeah,
that was last year was the last time I went to Mass.
Last time I went to Mass had to have been almost 20 years ago, probably 20 years ago. Maybe not that much, maybe 17 years ago. I went to a wedding at a Catholic church with my ex. And that was the last time I went to a Mass.
And this was before you were openly
before
trans.
before I transitioned.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wrote a piece last year for MSNBC. We'll link it in the show notes, but it was a more personal look into my Catholicism. But what I miss the most is the community part of it, right? Like growing up, like most of my friends went to the same church as me, and it was a good time to see them, like not in the school setting that we typically saw each
Did
other.
you go every Sunday?
Just about, yeah.
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 Me too.
My dad was a Easter and Christmas Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was usually my mom and I. It was trouble when my brother and I went together because we would just sit there and gossip the whole time.
Yeah.
We would make fun of I don't want to say it. We had a choir director. His name was Steve, and my brother called him Gay Steve.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. I didn't know what that meant at the time. I was like 8.
I hope Steve is living his best life.
I think he still goes to the church.
Oh, fuck. See, that's the thing. I do say, oh, Jesus, and oh, fuck a lot. So, yeah.
No, I say Jesus Christ.
A lot.
Yeah.
On this podcast, both of us.
No, you don't say.
You don't say that.
No, I wouldn't say I was very religious, but it seeped in the culture around me, right? And then I got confirmed in the summer of 2000. But right around then is when the Catholic priest scandal broke, when the Boston Globe reported it. And I lived in New England, so the Globe was like our regional paper. I think that was kind of when I was like, okay, this isn't going to be a big deal in my life. And I think that was true for a lot of New England Catholics.
Yeah, I've only seen the movie, but the disillusionment, I would imagine, would be really widespread.
Yeah.
Or the doubling down.
By movie, you're talking about Spotlight.
You mean Spotlight?
Spotlight.
How am I doing on that?
Better than Mark Ruffalo's overacting.
Listen, I love that Mark Ruffalo is just Mark Ruffalo in every movie that he's in.
It's true. Even like when he plays the Hulk, he's still Mark Ruffalo.
And I'm okay with that. Well, what was it like being there and like all of these stories coming out every day?
It was kind of a wild time because right around that time was when the Massachusetts Supreme Court made marriage equality the law of the land. So it was all, and then 9/11 too was right around then. So it was like the New England that I grew up in after 2001 was just completely different.
Yeah.
In so many different ways. The 9/11 hijackers connected through Boston. They actually started in Maine. So there's a big New England connection there as well, which is why the Spotlight team had to take their eye off of the priest scandal to report out the hijacker stuff. You see a little bit of that in the movie. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was like a bunch of really big shocks all in a row.
Any discussion of Spotlight has to have the caveat that Liev Schreiber as Marty Baron was right to go after the systems, and also Marty Baron became a huge disappointment at the Washington Post.
Yeah, what a huge dickhead he turned out to be.
Yeah, so you can go after the Catholic Church as a system, but you can't go after systemic sexual harassment or take your own reporter off a beat because she was sexually assaulted. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. It's interesting that I believe the 4 reporters on that Spotlight team that were in the movie were all Catholic, and he found it fine that they were reporting on the Catholic Church. But then later on, he said that Felicia Samnez couldn't report on sexual assault because she had personally experienced it. So it's interesting how the standards are doubled and tripled up.
Interesting is a word, yes.
This is a diplomatic word.
And we're popes and cardinals today, so
we're the Vatican diplomacy today. So
I grew up Catholic in. If folks don't know this, I say I'm from New Jersey. I am from New Jersey because New Jersey formed me, really. But I'm originally from Staten Island, New York.
Oh, you're a Staten Island Italian Catholic.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So picture me doing some confession and confirmation. No, I did confirmation in Jersey, but first Holy Communion in the little dress in Staten Island, the hub of MAGA Italians everywhere. But yeah, my dad, who you can read about in the Fly Trap over this past week, he wasn't even an Easter and Christmas Catholic, because he would say that the church would fall on him if he went in. But when I was a good choir girl in high school, he did come see me sing a couple of times.
Well, that's good.
And then my mom believes, and like I can respect that like, like this religion and like stripped of religion, like this Jesus as the Messiah thing is like really comforting to her and always has been. Yeah. So I just like, I had this growing awareness, I'd say like maybe like I had a lot of guilt. Like I felt the guilt start like really in like elementary school. Like I felt very uncomfortable confessing. And then like by middle school, maybe like early high school, I started feeling like I didn't really believe this stuff anymore, but like I had to double down on it, because then if I didn't believe, hell, and that made me a bad person. So I did like church choir, and like I even used to like cantor masses like once a week. But then once I got to college, I got like pretty I did not get woke to Catholicism. I just was like, what the fuck? I went to mass, I think like freshman year, like every week. And then I stopped because my views were starting to change about abortion. I was very anti-abortion in high school, which you could also read about in the Fly Trap. Yes. And thank God though, like my church was like not one of those, at least back then, that would like bust the kids down to March for Life. Like I am so glad that I did not like give somebody a blowjob in the back of the March for Life bus like when I was 13 or 14, which like fucking happens. Like so glad that was not part of my formative experience. I think I took on like a lot of like kind of like this religious dogma, not because it was being reinforced at home, because I've written about how like kind of like New Jersey Italians and even like Staten Island and Italian Catholics, like get your nails done, you go to church, it's like, you stir your sauce, and like you can go on vacation like with your boyfriend, like just don't come home pregnant. Like you probably even like get the abortion, like just don't like talk about it, right? So to me, I think like the more that I struggled with having that faith, the more I kind of was like, oh yeah, like, well, let me like hang on to like this abortion thing, because like I can like believe in that. And then like once I left that world, it like became very clear to me that was not okay.
There's another story, by the way, that I just remembered, or I had meant to bring up earlier, talking about my own experience. I had a crisis of faith right before I went to college. I was 19 years old. This was a couple weeks before 9/11. And one of my childhood friends, his name was Dana, passed away in a car crash. And growing up, we were the two tallest kids in the school, and they called us the Two Towers.
Oh.
And of course, 9/11 hadn't happened yet, but it just added to the trauma later. But I remember I had a crisis of faith because I was like, I don't know what happens to my consciousness after I die. Like I was questioning that.
Yeah.
And I went to see my priest. I actually went back to my childhood priest from my original town, who I knew a little bit better than, because I moved before high school. And I had a meeting with him about it. And he looks at me and he's like, well, and he explained what Catholics believe about the afterlife. And he goes, well, if there is no heaven, then Catholics are the world's biggest fools. And I was like, yeah, that's not selling me on this. Yeah. Like, I think I'm kind of done with this.
It's so weird that he's like trying to reason you into faith.
Yeah.
That's so strange.
So you had that, and then you had the scandal like a year later. And yeah, I just didn't really go back to church ever again.
Well, you talked about, going to mass every week. What was that like, being trans and going to mass every week?
Well, trans people weren't really on their radar at the time, but I do remember
just like with your consciousness, even like your maybe growing awareness of yourself, or maybe not having that awareness yet.
I wasn't really aware that it was a sin actually at that point, because like trans people weren't really on their radar. I knew there was like anti-gayness. I definitely knew about the abortion. Like actually I remember I think it was First Communion. They let us sit through the homily for the first time. Like usually we would leave and go do like kids' Jesus crafts. during the homily,
Yeah.
and they let us sit through the homily, and we had a substitute priest that day, and he went on this like vicious, nasty rant about abortion. And my dad was actually there. It was one of the few times my dad actually went to the church, and he was like pissed. He's like, "Why was this the homily on the day when all the kids are there?"
Gotta get them young.
And looking back on it now, I can see why it would be the homily when all the kids are there, because that's the message they want to scare the kids with. But no, I didn't really sense it. Like,
That you wouldn't belong here anymore, or that.
yeah, like the Catholicism and the transness never really clashed. Although, of course, later in life, I hadn't been to church in years, and I'm like thinking about transition, and I still feel guilty about it because of the Catholic guilt.
The Catholic guilt is something. I mean, like, my spouse and I talk about like his Jewish guilt, but I'm like, you got that, but like, I got Jesus on top of it.
Well, Jesus was Jewish.
Yes. Yes.
So technically that's also Jewish guilt.
Wow. What a podcast.
We are definitely going to hell.
You know, like, apparently, like, Jewish people don't believe in hell. Although my mother-in-law says that there can be a special hell for the entire Kushner family. So,
oh my God.
She's like that. That's okay. So everybody's like making up their own like little policies and stuff. Yeah.
You know who I think should go to hell?
No. Oh, please.
JD Vance.
Oh yeah. If there's hell, he should. But then he's gonna like ruin our party.
Well, that's true. He's like a convert.
Yeah. Let's talk about converts.
Why are there so many people converting lately?
Tradcath bullshit. You know, it's funny because like, you know, you had put in our little discussion notes that like this trend of like evangelicals converting to Catholicism. And when I was a kid, so I was in middle school and we had already moved to New Jersey. For some reason, we knew somebody who invited us to his church back on Staten Island. And it was like one of those like evangelical mega churches. It was like for a Christmas play, right? And so like we went to this Christmas play and it was like, oh, like this is nice. Like, you know, Christmas play, blah, blah, blah. And then we went to like another play. And this play was like basically people, like different scenarios where like people would be talking about like horrible things that they did. And then they would talk about like whether or not they believed in Jesus as like the savior. And like somebody could have done something really horrible. And then like really like, you know, killed somebody, like whatever. But as long as like their last words were like, I believe I believe like Jesus is the Messiah or whatever.
Oh God.
So then they would die. And then like they would go up to like the pearly gates. And if they went up to the pearly gates and they believed in Jesus, they got into heaven. And if they didn't believe in Jesus, like if they had said that like in their like last thing, like, no, like not really too sure or whatever, they would go to hell. And like there would be like this like dramatic music and shit. So two things. A, this made me like actually glad to be Catholic because I was like, never again. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like because evangelicalism was so foreign to me. And I remember asking, like, I don't know who I asked, like somebody who worked at the church, whether it was a minister. Like I had a really good friend at the time who was Muslim. And I said like, well, she doesn't believe in Jesus as the Messiah. So like, you know, like in Catholicism, at least in like the churches I went to, like they didn't make a big deal about that. But like this guy told me my friend was going to go to hell. And I was like, bye. I'm going back to the Catholic Church. So see you later.
What the heck? What is this, Dante's Inferno?
Seriously. I mean, we look like it today. So why do you think like all these evangelicals are like hopping on the train to the Vatican?
I think they have a self-conception of themselves as crusaders.
Ooh.
I think that they view a lot of the international politics as a struggle between the East and the West that stems from the Crusader period, before that even. So I think that they, you know, Protestantism wasn't really around during the Crusades. Like it didn't spark until much, much later. So I think that they feel like they can be more authentic warriors of Christ if they convert to Catholicism. Like that's just kind of my view.
I totally see that. And I think that's so interesting. I remember reading in Talia Lavin's book about how the evangelicals like see the Catholics as like, I don't know, heathens who are like obsessed with like theocracy and stuff. I don't know, but I
Yeah.
can also see
I
them
mean,
like getting really into the candles and shit and being like, yeah, like let's do this.
yeah, I mean, like converts will be like, I don't agree with the second conference of God. I can't. I'm struggling. Like the Second Vatican conference when they did this, that, and the other thing, and like cradle Catholics are like, yeah, man, who cares? Who gives a fuck?
Cradle Catholics.
Have you never heard that term before?
No, that's awesome.
Oh my god,
that's so good. Oh my god, yes. As a cradle Catholic, I think these adult converts who have never been like in second grade, like sitting down for their first confession and
yeah,
like wondering like if they're going to go to hell because like they heard that like touching themselves is bad, but like it's so bad that you can't confess that to the priest because like yeah, no, you got.
Do you remember your first confession?
I think it was that
you touched yourself?
Yeah, and I was like really, really afraid to tell the priest because I knew it was like so like bad, and it was so bad. And that guy became a Monsignor.
My first confession was I was mean to my teacher one time.
Oh well, that's also really.
So I had to bring the teacher an apple and then say 10 Hail Marys.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
But, I mean, did the teacher kind of deserve it?
I don't remember. It was not nearly the worst thing. Like, I almost confessed to wanting to be a girl, and then I was like, something told me that would be bad.
Yeah, when I never actually told the priest I touched myself, I just kept saying I did something so bad I can't tell you, and he kept like pressuring me to like tell him.
Ew.
And like yeah, and like if I was an adult who heard that, like I would be like concerned for the child, not like and also like touching yourself is not a sin. Everyone actually explore yourself.
You know what's really funny?
I'm waving my cardinal arms as I'm like explore your sexuality.
Yeah, so as you're doing this, a cardinal literally just landed on the power line outside my window. Look at the bird.
I'm with you, my child.
Yeah. So we officially have a quorum for this conclave.
That's great. 2 cardinals will elect you. But wait, I wanna not before we elect you.
Yeah.
I want to talk about my least favorite convert. I'm just gonna
Who's
slide
this?
that in there. That would be Liz Brunig because
oh my god,
you cannot be a democratic socialist or a progressive and not support bodily autonomy.
Yeah,
abortion. You cannot. So that is. I would like to just drop that there.
Her.
No, I can't. And I can't stand all the guys who are like, "Oh, this is the person who's going to lift us out." I'm like, bros, like, but she doesn't support abortion.
Yeah. Oh, I can't stand her. Like, she makes my skin crawl, actually.
Oof. Yeah.
And she's always, like, taking oblique hits at trans people as she's, like, ranting about how, like, women should be barefoot and pregnant at all times.
Oh, she hates trans people, too? This does not surprise me.
Well, she hasn't come out and said it.
Right.
But there's, like, oblique little comments that... The unsavvy don't even register, and the people who understand it are like, yeah, I know what you're doing. You're not slick.
No. So just, everybody beware. So
yeah.
all saying.
I didn't realize she was a convert. I thought she was, that makes so much more sense. Why are they such loudmouths? They have no humility.
An adult convert? No, because if you were a cradle Catholic, you'd be ashamed to say this shit out loud.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I guess that's why JD Vance is so obnoxious.
Yeah,
about everything. I didn't realize he was a convert.
So when this episode releases, it'll be on Wednesday, and that's the first day of the conclave.
Oh my god!
So Wednesday for Patreon's early access subscribers, and then. Usually they take like 1 or 2 days, so potentially this could come out on the day that the new pope is named.
Do you want to know what I was thinking?
Yeah.
Do you ever get like, this is not like a bad trigger, just like triggered by certain phrases?
Yeah.
That like made me think of a hymn. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. Do you ever just like, I know, do you ever just have like parts of the mass like pop into your head?
Yeah.
Or like some like songs that you sang?
Well, yeah, because yesterday was May the 4th.
Yeah.
And then so they say May the 4th be with you. That's the like meme of the day. And then I always want to respond, and also with you.
Wait, did they change that?
They did.
John Mulaney has a bit in it. I don't really watch him, but my therapist sent it to me in preparation for this episode.
Oh
He's
my
like,
God.
you should watch this.
You talked to your therapist about making this episode?
I did.
I love that.
Yeah, because he's half Italian Catholic, half Jewish. So like he got really like,
yeah, he understands it.
Yeah.
This next section, we are going to have some light spoilers for the movie Conclave. For YouTube subscribers, you can skip to this timestamp. I'll have it displayed for when we move off the spoilers.
Okay.
When this episode comes out, it'll be right in the middle or right at the end of the conclave to choose the next actual pope. And as you know, one of the, hit movies of the last year has been Conclave, which like they kind of struck gold with their timing.
Oh yeah. Do you think they were like, this pope is old? Let's see if we could like,
I don't know.
I want to say it like Spotlight, like Conclave.
Conclave. The Spotlight Conclave. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of curious. I want to go down two different tracks here if we can. Mm-hmm. I want to talk a little bit about the movie. Mm-hmm. Maybe we don't have to spoil it.
Well, I mean, there is a new pope at the end. So
there is a new pope at the end, but, that's what the movie is. It's like the Titanic. It's coming.
That's a really apt metaphor for the Catholic Church.
But I also want to talk about, like, kind of the future of the real Catholic Church.
Sure.
Because I think that movie did a great job of, like, positioning the interests at play in an actual conclave. Because there is, like, a liberal sort of Jesuit side of the Catholic, it's not cardinalship, but like, there's like an institutional struggle for what direction the Catholic Church will go next. And Francis certainly set out a more progressive tone than his predecessors.
Yeah, because he was a Jesuit.
He was a Jesuit, but there are certainly people who want to take it into a more fundamentalist direction. Like, what are your thoughts on where the actual church is going to go? And like, do you think it was representative? Like, do you think the movie was representative of some of the discussions that we'll be having over the course of this week?
Yeah, I think so. It's hard to imagine. Like, I really enjoyed the movie. It's hard to imagine kind of a liberal faction of cardinals, even the Jesuits within that conclave, because it comes under such limitations, right? Mm-hmm. It's like maybe some LGB, maybe some as a Stanley.
Closeted, though.
Yeah, no, but like I think in the movie, like Stanley Tucci said, like let's be Stanley Tucci as an impeccably tailored cardinal.
Yes.
I think he said like let's be less mean to gay people and let's like let people have birth control. Like they didn't touch. I don't think they touched abortion at all.
No.
And that's the thing. Like it's always going to exist like within these parameters. And I mean, to be fair, these parameters have moved over the years because I don't think that there would have been a discussion about like LGB or birth control. I'm like, wow, I got like moving the hands. Maybe like 10 or 20 years ago. I don't know. Yeah. But it's not enough for me. It's hard to like picture it like in real life. Like I can picture it in the movie because it's a movie, but it's hard to picture that happening like right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that'll happen from the next pope or even the pope after that would bring me back to the church. I'm curious, like, I think I read somewhere that Pope Francis appointed like 130 something cardinals out of the 200 that are going to vote or whatever.
Yeah, he's cardinal stacking.
He's cardinal stacking. Like Joe Biden, man, what the hell? You got to take notes on this.
Yeah, shit.
So I'm actually optimistic that we'll get like a more progressive candidate out of this, but you never know how this stuff goes. Like maybe the attitude of the cardinals is no, we got to pull back on our excesses here.
Well, we've talked about, especially in our like post-election episodes, about kind of like this like global rise of fascism, but it also it seems to be that like the first like 100 days and counting of Donald Trump have made a lot of countries that could have gone to the right wing go, maybe we should reconsider. So if that happens in this conclave, kind of like the backlash to the backlash, like Donald Trump being the backlash to like progressivism, to racial justice, to Barack Obama, if we're going to get like a backlash to like neo-Nazi white Christian nationalism, like fine by me. Like, hope they pick a better pope than that.
Yeah, I mean, historically, Catholics do not have a great track record with fascism. Like, not the Nazi Party started in Bavaria, which is like the predominantly Catholic portion of Germany. So,
can I just say, like, you're a really good like world history buff in addition to like New England history.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I have no life and I'm a nerd. So, and I have YouTube with no ads. So
that sounds like the life.
I also can't see a future, like the Catholic Church is deeply enmeshed with the far right in Europe, so especially. And I think there's an American element to that because they all work together. They all go to the same conferences. But like the Catholic Church hosts like far right political conferences, or if they don't host, they send representatives there. Like there's high ranking priests and bishops that go to these things in the Italian Alps or, somewhere in Austria or like Poland, right?
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. Oh my God.
So like I have a hard time picturing a world where the church doesn't still occupy a similar role under even a new pope.
Like, because those things still happened under Francis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He never put a stop to it.
Yeah. The pained look I had was me remembering that Roger and Carrie Severino are Catholics, and I will link to that story in the show notes.
Yeah. Are they converts? Do we know if they're converts?
No, and that's what I need to look up.
Okay.
This cardinal is very curious. But I've written about them because Roger Severino was just the architect of anti-trans destruction under the previous Trump administration. And Carrie Severino is the public face of the Dark Money Judicial Crisis Network.
Yeah.
So they put her out in front so that there could be a nice, palatable white woman doing that.
That's the group that ran all those ads, like defending Kavanaugh during his confirmation hearing, and Gorsuch.
Correct.
And
Correct.
Amy Coney Barrett as well.
And, the New York Times had this like, this is the hard part about being a freelancer is sometimes like you have a good story idea and it takes you like months or like a year to land it, or it gets killed a different publication, whatever. Like the New York Times had this puff piece about them just basically like, oh yeah, like we don't discuss politics with each other. And also like, yay, Roe v. Wade's been like overturned.
Yeah.
And it came out before like my piece about them that I've been working on for a long time, which was like, hey, like these two people like are working two different angles, like the judiciary and like the administrative, like, federal branch, which actually like now is just like crumbling into the abyss, to like devastate like your civil rights, your bodily autonomy and stuff. So there are a lot of, now that I'm thinking back to the first Trump administration, the evangelicals got him there, as like Talia's book has said, but like there were so many Catholics in that administration, like so many. I even think like the guy who tracked the periods may have been like,
not the period tracker guy. Oh my God.
I think he was. So, and I will confirm that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's an alliance, right, as you described earlier. Mm-hmm. What were your thoughts on the movie?
I thought the movie was pretty fun, actually. Mm-hmm. I liked how campy it was.
It was campy.
The sets and the costumes were incredible. It was well acted. I thought the dialogue was well written. I actually don't feel like spoiling it now.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think we don't have to spoil it.
We're running low on time, so that would be a whole can of worms to open.
What do you think you can speak to what you thought about the thing that we won't spoil.
I thought it was a little hammy.
Okay.
You know, I think that the filmmakers thought it would be a more impactful thing. Like, I kind of like finished the movie, and my first reaction was kind of like, and I loved the movie, don't get me wrong, but my first reaction to the conclusion was kind of like, they really thought they did something there.
Yeah, similar reaction.
There's a difference between doctrine and actual practice.
Correct.
And in doctrine, the Pope is absolutely infallible because he is the spokesperson of God. God speaks to the Pope, and the Pope speaks for God. But in practice, the church is an institution, and it's a bureaucracy. And I don't believe that one Pope can just snap his fingers, and it's always going to be him because that's the rule. But snap their fingers and make the Catholic Church woke, or whatever you want to call it. I think that they are a figurehead, and they have a lot of influence, and they're the head of the bureaucracy. So if there is reform that needs to happen, like, they are a very strong advocate for it, but I don't think they can just absolutely change everything. So, like, I got to the end of that movie and I was like, yeah, great. They elected the new Pope. And it was like a cool story of how the conclave came together. But, like, what is that Pope actually going to be able to accomplish? And maybe that's just me being a dumb pundit.
I liked the wheeling and the dealing the best, and
Yes.
like anything with like Stanley Tucci and Ray Fiennes looking like they did.
Yeah.
And like when Stanley Tucci is like, "And what would your Pope name be?" It's very hot. Didn't think I had that in me, but I have to watch that Fleabag show with the Hot Priest.
Yeah.
The one thing we didn't really address, and I don't know how far Francis took this reform, but like how he dealt with like all of the widespread child abuse in the church.
Yeah, he didn't do great. He transferred people to the Vatican, which is how cardinal law got away. It continues to be a problem. Of course, during his tenure, we learned it's not just a Catholic problem. It's pretty much an all religion problem, but it's especially a problem in Christianity. I don't have much hope for the next Pope being able to fix that either.
Yeah. I do hope they pick the best one we can get.
Yeah.
And I would recommend the movie.
Yes.
It's enjoyable. If a bit hammy, it is very enjoyable.
It's a good time. Also, you learn about like the process of what's happening in the news this week, which is a really rare opportunity for especially a recently produced movie to match up to that. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, I would recommend going out to see that.
Maybe like make some conclave themed snacks.
Okay, so Christine, what would a conclave themed snack be?
I don't know. Maybe something with like dry ice, like
wafers.
Oh yeah, like little Nilo wafers
and wine.
Sounds great. Like, can I go have that?
Do wine and cheese.
Yeah,
with crackers.
And then like you could do like different color like dry ice, you know.
This is the body of Christ. This is the cartilage of Christ. And it's just the cheese.
On that note, so are we? Yes. What are we doing now?
We have to finish the show with a flourish.
Yes.
So we have convened this cancellation conclave to name the woke pope.
I vote for the woke pope.
And who is that?
Well, I have to ask you, my child, what would your pope name be?
What would my woke pope name be?
Yeah. Because I'm voting for you, obviously, but I need to know, like, what you're...
All right. Deep lore cut on Katelyn here. My confirmation name was Isaiah, so I'd be woke Pope Isaiah. And the backstory on that is I only chose Isaiah because it was the only name that I found humor in, because there's a basketball player back in the day called Isaiah Thomas. So I was like, I could troll people and just be Isaiah. Woke Pope Isaiah Thomas. Turns out he turned into, like, he's actually a piece of shit human being. So, yeah.
We can just call you the woke Pope.
Just call me the woke Pope. Am I the I'm the woke Pope and the cancel Pope.
Okay. Well, I elect the cancel Pope. Woke Pope.
Cancel the first.
Yes. Cancel the first.
The woke pope. Yeah, we're definitely going to hell.
Yep. Wait, I have to tell you my confirmation name before we go.
Yes.
It was Teresa, mother.
Oh. Wow, you really have always been the ombudsman's mom. Cancel Me Daddy is a Flytrap media production, and today's show was made by me, Caitlin Burns, my incredible co-host, Christine Grimaldi, and our amazing editor, Maria Paleologos.
Dee Peterschmidt made our theme song, and Romy Tirico designed our graphics. Ads by Multitude Productions.
Our show is made by the incredible cancelers supporting our work, especially the members of our Canceler Hall of Fame, with the great power to cancel all of their enemies. Meg.
We appreciate your support.
Happy canceling!